Hello, this is Pop the Ponderosa, and in this video I'm giving an overview of my latest map for Cities Skylines II. This is Coos Bay, Oregon. In this video, I'll tell you a bit about the real location and discuss the map features. I'll also touch on a couple things to know when starting building on the map and show off an alternate version of the map with less infrastructure. Lastly, I'll give a sneak peek into my next map, which is currently a work in progress and coming soon. Alright, let's get into it. Coos Bay is a city located on the west coast of the USA in Oregon State. It is the most populous city on the Oregon coast with a population around 16,000. Coos Bay neighbors another city called North Bend, and together they may be referred to as Oregon's Bay Area. This greater area includes a few other small towns and has a population around 32,000. Coos Bay is also the name of the estuary where the Coos River meets the Pacific Ocean. The inlet has several parts referred to as ranges, but for the convenience of this video, I will call these two areas the Inner Harbor and the Outer Harbor. Some of the most notable features in the area are the sand dunes, beaches, breakwaters, bridges, airport, and an interesting forestry pattern. The Oregon Dunes National Recreational Area is a major tourist destination where people can camp, go horseback riding, dune buggying, or sandboarding. I detailed the dunes and beaches with sand surfaces and bushes to try and show beach trails. I also added the breakwaters at the entrance to the bay, detailed with boulders. Within the bay, I continued the boulder detailing along the Oregon Coast Highway and Trans-Pacific Highway across the Hines Inlet. I thought this was some very interesting infrastructure and just had to include it. Moving south, we can see the rail and highway crossings over Coos Bay. Unfortunately, I was unable to recreate the McCullough Memorial Bridge. This stunning cantilever bridge completed construction in 1936. I did my best to recreate the arched sections leading up to the cantilever section, but needed to use this arch segment to provide enough clearance for ships to travel underneath. Maybe one day we'll get a custom asset for this bridge like in CS1. I will briefly mention that I only became aware of the CS1 Coos Bay map after I created this one. I checked it out and it's seriously impressive, so shout out to Vecchio Cristo. The rail line crosses Coos Bay on a swing span bridge. Swing bridges rotate by 90 degrees to allow for the passage of ships or rail. I wanted to show this in the map as a point of interest and give the player a decision to make. As you can see, this segment of rail is rotated 90 degrees, and seaways pass through the gaps, so rail cannot cross the bay at the start of a new game. This water tile can be purchased, and the rail can be connected, but at the expense of eliminating ship access to the Inner Harbor. I'm hoping in the future we can get rail lift bridges that can allow ships to pass, but we'll see about that. Until then, where would you choose to develop your harbor? Adjacent to these bridges is the Southwest Oregon Regional Airport. I flattened this area and tried to return it somewhat to its natural state by looking at historical maps from before the airport was built. If you ever looked at satellite imagery of Oregon, you've probably noticed this checkered pattern in the forest that is a result of their forest management system. I wanted to include this in the map and used image overlay to remove trees in the forest matching these areas south of Coos Bay. I then placed trees back in these areas at younger ages to try and give it the checkered effect. Some of the more recently logged areas are also detailed with logs and surfaces. When you first load up the map, you'll notice I've created custom tiles with multiple starting areas. The main starting area has a grid that is a recreation of downtown Coos Bay. I thought this was an interesting road network with an arterial couplet from the highway that curves into Central Ave, that then leads over the hills toward the coast. If you don't like it, it doesn't take very long to demolish, or you can play on the Lite version, which I will go over shortly. The other starting areas include this hilly area of downtown North Bend, the farm area at the border of the map on Coos River, and this small tile with access to fresh water. All of these areas are connected with services including low voltage power lines and combined water pipes. All services are also available from outside connections. As for resources, you can find all of them on the map, with lots of trees for forestry, ore in some of the hills, fertile land in the river valleys, and a bit of oil near the dunes. I don't believe the oil is realistic, but I wanted to include it for players that want it. Groundwater is also readily available in many locations where I think water would collect. And lastly, here you can see the wind direction in the starting area, so you can get an idea of where you would put your industry. When starting a new game on this map, you'll probably want to head over to this small tile and place down a water pump. As mentioned before, it is already connected to the other starting tiles with pipes under the highway. FYI, this is the location of the real Coos Bay water supply. And if you want electricity from an outside connection, all you have to do is place down a transformer in this location, and that will provide electricity to the rest of the map. So you can start expanding your city in other locations without needing multiple power sources or buying lots of tiles you don't need. If we head over to this starting area, you'll notice there's a seaway connection leading into it, so you can start developing a harbor in the inner harbor. However, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to get a rail across the bridge, you will need to buy this water tile, demolish the seaways and the swing bridge, and then build a rail bridge. In case you aren't aware, these blue map tiles are called water tiles. They function the same as normal tiles, but their cost and upkeep are 1/3 of a regular tile. Note that if you leave the swing bridge, both rail lines can still function as stubs, but you will need 2 rail yards, which could get expensive. But if you connect the bridge and cut the seaways, you'll have to develop your harbor in the outer harbor. I think this makes for some really interesting decisions on how you will develop your city and its story. As mentioned earlier, there is an alternate version of this map with less infrastructure. I called it Coos Bay Lite, which, now that I think of it, kinda sounds like a beer. Anyways, I'll actually be rebranding my other rural maps to Lite. After some discussion with the community, I decided that Lite makes more sense, since any map can really be rural, and a rural map could have a big city on it. So Lite is just a recognizable buzzword that just refers to being light on infrastructure. Hopefully you understand the switch. So in this alternate version, you can see that I've removed the highway to the south and took out the large highway bridge and rail bridge. So the rail is now just a stub from the south, and there is no infrastructure north of the bay. I also removed the starting grids and gravel farm roads. I also used slightly different starting map tiles since I felt this better suited the new road network. You'll still get this small tile for water, but I decided to remove the outside water connection, and I kept the outside connection for electricity. So there's a bit of a twist here between the two maps, but I hope you like it. Let me know how you feel about it. I hope you've enjoyed this map overview. I've definitely enjoyed learning more about this area, and I hope to visit one day. If you're interested in either version of the map, there will be links in the description. And now, as promised, time for a quick teaser of my next map. Please note this is a work in progress. Welcome to the Bay of Gibraltar. This one-to-one map encompasses the cities of Gibraltar, La Linea, and Algeciras. My apologies if I pronounced any of those incorrectly. This map has a lot more port detailing and highway infrastructure than I typically include, but I'm having a lot of fun making it, and I hope you enjoy it. It will be perfect for anyone wanting to make use of the new Mediterranean pack. Some of the other region packs will probably also work well in here. I'll also quickly note that I was pretty far along in making this map when I discovered there are already a couple of other Gibraltar maps on PDX Mods. I'm going to go ahead and publish this anyway since I've spent a lot of time on it and I'm creating a different interpretation of the area compared to the other maps. Go ahead and check out those other maps if you're interested, but my Bay of Gibraltar map should be coming out in the next few weeks. Alright, and that's going to be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.